Well, hello everybody. Welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. So I have a book review for you today. I've got The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Now, I've been following his work for quite a long time. I always wanted to read this book cover to cover. I've breezed through it a couple of times, sort of read certain parts of it, certain chapters and that, but I decided to go for it and read the whole thing cover to cover. And wow, this is a great book, an amazing book actually, a very thought-provoking, well-written, just excellent book all around. I highly recommend going out and reading it. It definitely has some very valuable insights in it, some very decent knowledge, and just an excellent way to look at things. So basically, at the end of the day, the book's great, like A+ all around. Go read it. The review could end right there, but I will discuss a few things in it. So let's just say the three key takeaways from this book are: one, contrary to sort of popular belief amongst people that have either never read the book, never looked into the book at all, or never followed his work online, any of the podcasts, any of the videos, anything like that, the book is not about not giving a fuck about anything at all, ever. That's kind of what a lot of people that don't really know much about the book might think, but that's not what it is. It's about being very, very selective of the few things that really matter to you enough in life to give a fuck about. It's sort of a matter of filtering out all the rest that doesn't matter and finding those few things that you care about so much, at least at this chapter of your life. I mean, it can change, like, it isn't always permanent, right? Like, it can change depending on what season you're in, what stage of your life you're in, whatever. But at least at this stage of your life, what are those things that are so valuable, so undeniably important to you, that those are the things that you're choosing to give a fuck about? Okay, so that's sort of like main key takeaway number one. Okay, that's what the title of this book is. That's what it's all about. And at least to my knowledge, the second key takeaway is about, what sort of struggles do you choose? Because it's like we all have struggles that we're more capable of and more willing to put up with than others. And again, that varies from person to person. And we all have certain pain points in our life that kind of secretly we enjoy. We almost enjoy overcoming these certain points of pain. But also when we set goals and when we think of things that we want to achieve, we often think of basically the highlight reel in a lot of ways. We think of the big celebration, we think of the great lifestyle, the great relationship, the great job, career, whatever, and sort of all the highlight reels of it, basically, like all the great things about it. But what's a more important thing to look into is what the struggle of it is, and what is the struggle that you are willing to endure. It's like the job that you choose is the job that you're going to not feel like doing sometimes and have to do it anyway. The career and the lifestyle that you choose is also comes with its own set of obstacles and its own set of pain and its own set of displeasure that you will have to go through. The person that you end up in a relationship with is the person that you're going to be frustrated with sometimes, be angry at sometimes, not be able to understand where they're coming from sometimes, right? Like, you could have the most dream career, the best job in the world, the best lifestyle that you've always wanted since you were a child, whatever. You could have, the best relationship on paper that could possibly ever exist, and be with the hottest person that you desire above all anybody else you've ever met before in your life. But at the end of the day, you're still going to be frustrated with that person. You're still going to be frustrated with that job and career. Sometimes there's going to be setbacks and just different struggles that come up, no matter how great or how much ultimately you would want that lifestyle or that person or that job or whatever. We often forget that you can't escape the struggles that come with it. So when you're deciding to set goals, you're deciding to change your life around in any sort of direction, you're deciding to become involved with somebody or whatever, rather than that super high, awesome, spectacular kind of stuff that our mind immediately gravitates towards, which is a natural function, by the way, that does that in order to propel you into action in obtaining what you want. But you have to sort of train yourself and discipline yourself to look at the struggles that come along with it, and then out of all the options and all the directions that you could take, basically choose wisely the struggle that you're wanting to endure. So that's key takeaway number 2. And then there's a bunch of other interesting things in this book, but the other thing that sort of stood out to me is in the chapter basically about entitlement. It talks about, like somebody that's really high on themselves, somebody that thinks that they're just, that they're like they think they're better than everybody else. We very easily can look at somebody like that and be like, oh, they're a narcissist, or they're super high on themselves, or they think too highly of themselves and they're arrogant and whatever, right? It's very easy to sort of point the finger and say that about somebody who is that sort of way. But when we also see somebody that's like really depressed, always down on themselves, always judging themselves, always beating themselves up about certain things, always acting like they're not good enough, sort of just whatever, being down on themselves all the time. Sure, you can approach somebody like that with more care. You can add more empathy. You can, feel and absorb the deeper, sort of darker emotions going on in somebody like that more. And as I said, just conduct yourself with more care and understanding towards somebody like that. But you also have to recognize that they're the exact same as the person that's very high on themselves and is narcissistic or whatever, right? Like it's the exact same psychological makeup, just in reverse. They still, somewhere deep inside them, believe that they are special and that they deserve special treatment because they think that they're so low, they're so down, they're just so bad at everything all the time and cannot accomplish anything properly all the time, that they're still, in a roundabout way, demanding special privileges, demanding special treatment, demanding that people show more empathy towards them, the same as the person that's super high on themselves demands respect all the time and demands people to acknowledge them all the time and things like that. So it's very easy to take somebody in the first position and point fingers at them and sort of act like they're out of line or that they need to be humbled and all this other kinds of stuff, right? And that's very easy to do, but it's not as easy to do that to somebody that's down and depressed. But at the same time, and you don't even have to do this overtly, but just within your own self when you're just dealing with people in your life, understand that it's the same psychological makeup in either directions. The person that's down on themselves is demanding just as much attention and just as much special privileges as the person that's high on themselves. And there's a bunch of other stuff in the book too. And So, and one thing, before I forget to mention it, this book is hilarious. There's a lot of comedy in it. In fact, actually, there was some times when I was reading this, like in a public place, and I was like, had to like force myself not to just like burst out laughing while I was reading it. The humor is fucking hilarious. It's very funny at times, and it's deliberately, and I've heard him talk about this before too, and there's a lot of personal stories, like he's telling stories about this time he was drunk, or whatever, just like different things that have happened in his life that are funny, and he's sort of driving home a deeper philosophical, psychological, cultural, whatever point through just sort of using these stories as a bumper to illustrate a point, I guess. And he does it, and he writes it in such a way that's so funny. What would you call it? Almost like satirical, that you just can't help but laugh a lot at some points of the book. Like I said, there was times reading it in public where I was really struggling to hold back my laughter in front of, just people of the public, right? It was, it's definitely got really good humor in the book. And it's also a way of, like, a lot of the stuff that he talks about is quite heavy. It's quite deep. It can even be dark at times. So to sort of have those satirical, humorous sort of personal stories in there, it's almost like adding a little bit of sugar to the medicine. It's like, overall, this is a deep message. You need to hear it. It can even be dark at times, but we're not just going to lay that right on your plate. We're going to add some humor into it, and put some sugar in with the medicine. So anyway, that is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I highly recommend you read this book and go check out his other work. I don't think you'll regret it. I think there's some great insights in there. So enjoy your read. Thank you very much for watching this review. Hope you have a good day. See you later.